start recording now.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much for that introduction, Alex. And thanks to Noah and Sajana for joining us today. And thanks to all of you for being here and for your interest in this project and in our open call. So my name is Emily Carroll and I'm from ISDI. We're one of the partners in the consortium. ISDI is a digital ecosystem. We began as a digital business school. And we have since grown into a group with many other organizations, not just ISDI, underneath the ISDI umbrella. And we primarily focus on training. So we have trained 150 companies with 20,000 professionals in both in-company courses and in sort of one-to-one master programs. We have a large ecosystem that stretches across Europe and across the world of many digital experts. And we also have a branch dedicated to innovation and startups. You can see a little bit more clearly in this slide our ecosystem. So up on the top, we have our master's programs and our executive programs. On the left, excuse me, on the right, we have our corporate education. On the bottom, we have a large community and ecosystem of alumni and ex-ISDI. We also do some research activities and have educational alliances with Salesforce Academy and with Google Digital Academy. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have our entrepreneurship and innovation branch, which is the branch that I work for. We are part of SHOP4CF, but we are by no means the only partner. There are many partners. We have universities participating in this project. We have industry partners. We have research organizations. We have some SMEs, which includes ISDI and Funding Box. And then, of course, we have the project coordinator, which is the Technical University of Munich. And as Alex said, that is where Noah and Slajana are from, joining us today in this info session. So we're going to talk about SHOP4CF and specifically the open call, how to apply, what the benefits are. But before we do that, I want to show you this video, which is about the SHOP4CF project, to give you a little bit of background into our motivation behind this project and what we aim to do over the course of the several years of this project. So make sure it works. I'm sorry, is that volume high? I hear it kind of loud through my speakers.
No, it's good. It's not, at least for me, it's not too loud. So.
Okay, well, please adjust your volume if it's too loud. So here we go.
Manufacturing plays a crucial role in the European economy. Almost 10% of all the enterprises in the EU are in the manufacturing sector, and that's more than 2 million organizations. In addition, around 22% of all workers in the EU are employed in manufacturing. However, the sector is facing many challenges. Only a small percentage of companies in
Sorry, I think we lost the sound, all of us. Emily, for some reason, it just stopped.
It could be because I muted myself, which is odd. I'll go back here. I apologize.
Okay.
Population, factories are having a hard time finding workers who can keep up with the physical demands of the job. The increasing labor costs in Europe is driving companies to produce and hire in cheaper countries, which has long-term negative effects on the European economy. Many factories attempt to solve these problems by incorporating machines or robotic workers, but this solution can lead to problems of its own. Enter SHOP4CF, the smart, human-oriented platform for connected factories, an EU-funded project involving 20 partners who will develop a platform containing a wide range of components that cover a broad spectrum of industrial requirements, especially in the context of modern, flexible, and data-rich manufacturing. SHOP4CF's goal is to find the right balance between repetitive tasks and cost-effective automation, and to involve human workers in areas where they create the biggest added value, such as adaptability, creativity, and agility. The overall vision of SHOP4CF is that tomorrow's production requires both machine skills and human resources. Therefore, SHOP4CF aims to help machines and humans work together, improving working conditions for humans by automating monotonous or difficult work and by increasing human productivity through smart assistance from machines. The SHOP4CF project will help prevent accidents and downtime in factories. It will reduce the risk of collisions in advance. It will also provide ergonomic and healthy working conditions, increasing productivity and worker well-being. Furthermore, These changes will have a strong positive impact on the labor market. But how will this be achieved? Through a digital marketplace that includes components, pilots, license models, and more. A platform, a unique infrastructure to easily develop and deploy modular components that cover a wide range of different tasks in modern manufacturing environments. 5 open calls that aim to get new integrators and developers on board to foster a vibrant ecosystem of industrial partners, and free online courses to help factory stakeholders learn about new technologies and how they can be implemented. The Consortium of SHOP4CF is looking for stakeholders like you to join their growing community. To learn more about the project, open calls, courses, or marketplace, visit our website at shop4cf.eu.
Yes, so please do visit our website, but not yet, not until the end of this presentation, because I want to talk about a lot of what we've seen here. And then, oops, my apologies, I don't want to watch it again. And I want to dive into specifically the open call. So first I'm going to talk more generally about the project, and then we're going to talk, as I said, about the open call, what we're looking for, and what we're offering. So we saw some terminology in that video, and we're going to be using those terms in this presentation. So I think it's worthwhile taking a look at what we mean by each of those terms. So the first term that I want to talk about is components. So in this project, we used the term component to refer to sub-solutions to specific or specifically defined tasks. So for example, a pilot comprising a work cell usually consists of several components, each providing a specific functionality. So in order to carry out a specific complex task in a manufacturing environment, you might put together many different SHOP4CF components that are each sort of carrying out a specific sub part of that task or subtask, and altogether achieving the complex task. The general interfaces of the components targeted in SHOP4CF are supposed to ensure convenient integration and cross-industry usability. So they're supposed to be easy to use together and also easily applicable throughout the entire industry. Because as you can see, our aim is not just to have a small impact just on this project, but to be able to actually improve the industry and the ecosystem. We also talk a lot about a marketplace, as you heard in the video. I know we probably all know what marketplaces are, but I think it's worth mentioning that specifically in the SHOP4CF project, what we're referring to is a place where we host the components and we provide information about license models of those components, because some of them are free and some of them are commercialized. And we also provide information about pilots there as well. We refer as well to architecture. The architecture in SHOP4CF ensures coherence and interoperability of the components. And the architecture also provides a common template for concrete systems designed for pilots, open call projects, and so on. And then of course we have the word pilots, which in this project refers to use cases that consist of a whole set of components all working together. Having said that, let's talk a little bit about this project. So as you saw in the video, our aim of this project is to create a unique infrastructure for the convenient deployment of human-centric industrial applications. Human-centric is a really key concept in this project because we're not trying to remove humans from the manufacturing environment. We want to move them to value-added tasks and automate the tasks where humans don't add so much value or that are dangerous or difficult to carry out. We also offer, as we've mentioned, a comprehensive software platform that already hosts a wide range of different software modules or components covering a broad spectrum of industrial requirements and functionalities. The reason we've put the word already in this paragraph is that part of the objective of this open call in the project is to continue to add components. So you can access a list of the components that already exist, but we definitely will continue to add more in the context of this project. Finally, as you saw in the video, this project is funded by the European Commission under this grant agreement, and there's 20 partners participating, as you saw as well. So here's an image that sort of gives you a visual overview of the SHOP4CF project. So here on the right, these pink circles represent the SHOP4CF marketplace. And there, the SHOP4CF marketplace is continually improved and updated via sort of a two-way feedback system from the pilots. So as part of this project, we are already implementing a number of pilots. I'll just go back for 1 second to this slide. So industry partners, where you see in this sort of third column, we see Siemens, Arcelor, Bosch, and Volkswagen. In the context of the SHOP4CF program, they're implementing pilots using the SHOP4CF components. So yes, as I mentioned, the information that we gather from that experience sort of helps improve the SHOP4CF marketplace and vice versa. And then system integrators can access the components via the SHOP4CF marketplace and then implement them in manufacturing environments, as you can see, which is the box here on the bottom. In addition to this, we are also building up a business ecosystem and building up a community around SHOP4CF and human-centered manufacturing. I want to take just a couple of minutes to comment on the architecture here. So the architecture in SHOP4CF is a framework architecture, which is a common template for concrete systems designed for pilots, open call projects, and so on. And there's three important aspects of the architectural design to keep in mind here. So there's logical software architecture, logical platform architecture, and data architecture. The logical software architecture, as it says here, describes the functionality and the organization of the software modules under design, or that is the components. So it describes the functionality and organization of the existing software, SHOP4CF components, and then the new components that will be proposed by the applicants, which is hopefully you. The logical platform architecture describes from the functional perspective the organization of the underlying software or hardware. So in other words, that's the technology assumed to be present to use the aforementioned software modules. And of course, the data architecture describes the organization of data in the form of data models exchanged among the software modules. So that's about the project. Now let's talk more specifically about the open call. So you saw the 20 partners who are participating in this project, but we're looking for additional external third parties to take part in this project via our open calls. So right now we have an open call running, which means that you can apply to participate in this project right now. This is the first one, as I said. It serves as a reality check for the SHOP4CF architecture and its components, because experiences from operation in industrial environments will lead to valuable feedback, so that we'll be able to improve the architecture and the components based on what happens with you if you apply and are accepted into the project. The call will also expand the ecosystem of industrial corporates that will contribute by adding new technologies and appealing pilots. So this is a background information about why we are, as a project consortium, are running this open call, but it's also really important to note the benefits to you of applying to this project. So here they are, and I think they're quite significant. So a primary benefit here is that selected applicants will receive up to 100,000 euros in equity-free funding. And in addition to this, you as a potential selected beneficiary will have access to an 8-month implementation program. So this money combined with this support program will help you implement SHOP4CF components and new components into your manufacturing processes to help you solve problems that you might have right now in those processes. The implementation program will consist of 2 assigned moderators from the consortium. These people will have regular consultation with you, and they'll have a continuous evaluation of the results in a process which we'll look at a little bit later on. And there'll also be other supporting activities such as technology training, business coaching, and finance mentoring. So a sort of complete package of helping you boost your business activity at the same time as you're implementing the SHOP4CF components. It's very important to mention here that what we're looking for is 2 partners. So we're looking for mini consortia consisting of a system integrator and a manufacturing company. So these 2 different organizations group together, and they create a joint application. Please note that at least 1 partner is required to be an SME. Both can also be an SME, but at least 1 should be. So as I mentioned, the system integrator manufacturing company form a consortium of 2 applying together to the open call. And of course, the system integrator has the role of implementing the pilot on the production side for the manufacturing company. And naturally, the solution that you propose as part of your application is required to make use of the SHOP4CF architecture and respective components. So let's say that you're interested, you have somebody in mind that you can partner up with to form a consortium. what might this process look like? So here are some steps that you'll take in order to apply. First of all, as it says in the first box on the left, you form teams and build pilots that address individual needs in your own manufacturing environments. So you identify what's an issue that you'd like to work on in the context of this program. Then in step 2, pilots integrate pre-existing components. There are 25 and they're listed in the guide for applicants, which is one of our supporting documents. I'll tell you a little bit later where to access that, but there's 25 existing components. So you identify the ones that you can work with in order to help solve the issue that you've identified. And then as mentioned, a key part of your application also is describing how you'll develop new components that can be uploaded to the SHOP4CF marketplace. And a good mix of new and pre-existing components is required. So to sort of expand on what it means when we say a good mix, at least one of the components should be developed from scratch using the SHOP4CF reference architecture. At least one of the components should be pre-existing, selected from the list that's found in the guide for applicants, and there should be a total of 3, or higher. The pre-existing components that we have already have been validated or demonstrated in environments with limited realism. So technology readiness level 3 to 6. But right now we're looking for pilots that will feature a higher degree of technical readiness. So we're looking for pilots that will achieve TRL 6 through 9. Here we have the technology readiness level definitions as presented by the European Commission. And yes, as I mentioned, we're looking for 6 through 9, so a bit farther towards the end. Of course, as I've said a few times, it is a requirement to adopt the SHOP4CF architecture. So in your proposal, you would be expected to present a concrete system to implement the architecture with your functionality organized, as it says here, in a specific way. So using the software architecture to use specific underlying technology and to model information exchanged among software modules with specific data models. So these are the 3 elements that we looked at before of the SHOP4CF architecture: the logical software architecture, the logical platform architecture, and the data architecture. And of course, defining a usage scenario or scenarios for such a system is of course highly encouraged. So I said that I would talk a little bit about the program overview. So here it is. At the moment, we have the open call. It is open from now until the 3rd of August. So you can apply anytime until the 3rd of August. I believe the cutoff deadline time is the 5 o'clock Central European time, somewhere around there. Although it says it very clearly on our website. After that time, we will no longer accept proposals. We will move on to the proposal evaluation and selection stage. So throughout August, September, and October, we'll be evaluating and selecting up to 6 beneficiaries to join. Once the selection process has been completed and all background checks have been carried out, then these up to 6 mini consortia will join the project around November. There's 2 tracks here. The one along the top talks about the implementation and the evaluations, and the one along the bottom talks about the payment, which of course they're both very important elements. I'll address the implementation first. So as I mentioned, you'll work with 2 moderators from the consortium who will regularly check on your progress and evaluate the progress every 2 months. So at month 2, there'll be an evaluation for 6 and 8. Then, of course, as I mentioned, you will have access to a equity-free grant of up to 100,000 euros. And the reason I keep saying up to is because it's sort of dependent upon your performance throughout the progress of the program. So when you enter, you will receive a prepayment of 40% of the grant, which is 40,000 euros, funded either at 100% if you're a nonprofit or 70% if you're a for-profit organization. Then at the halfway mark, so at the 4-month evaluation, there'll be an interim review. If you have reached the agreed KPIs and you've passed all the agreed upon milestones, then you'll receive another 40% of the payment. And then at the end, at month 8, there'll be a final evaluation. And then contingent upon your performance in this evaluation, you'll receive the final payment, which is the last 20%. this is really important information, which is where to apply and by when. You can apply by visiting the website shop4cf.eu. You will find there a button that will take you straight to the application page. And on that page, you can find the template for applying, and you can find some other supporting documents. I really recommend looking at this document that is named here and that I've mentioned a couple of times, which is the Guide for Applicants. It's a very extensive document. It's our guiding star for this particular open call, and it has a lot of background information, much more than I've gone into detail on here, but it talks about what we're looking for, requirements. It has the long list of all the components that currently exist, and so on. And yes, as I mentioned, the submission deadline is the 3rd of August, and yes, I recalled correctly at 5 o'clock Brussels time. So that is everything, but now I'd like to open it up for questions if anyone has questions. As Alex mentioned, we are very lucky to have Noah and Sladjana here to help answer your questions. So yes, please feel free to ask. You can always send us an email, of course, to ask questions if things come up later, but now's a great moment to get your questions answered face to face.
Seeing for the moment there's no questions, but let's wait if someone is maybe writing. But I think everything you said was pretty clear, Emily, so maybe they don't have any questions.
I would maybe take the chance to also yeah, first of all, thank you, Emily, for wrapping this up. I think all the relevant information were disseminated by your presentation, and maybe until there are first questions, I could also share some experience from the pre-proposal evaluation.
So great idea.
Yeah, so the pre-proposals are basically an idea of yeah, giving you the chance to write 2 pages in terms of getting your idea evaluated by us. And maybe let me share some experiences from the pre-proposal evaluation that we did. First of all, if you didn't submit a pre-proposal, this is not a problem at all. So this should not discourage you. There's no probability increase of getting a granting by submitting the pre-proposal. This is really just a service to check if the idea is correct. And yeah, so maybe some yeah, like recommendations I can give you for the final proposal is come up with a concrete pilot that is really basically conveying a nice showcase for SHOP4CF. So we are really looking for something that we can really put on LinkedIn or YouTube that really makes advertisement for SHOP4CF. That is really, let's say, helping us to attract new people to the consortium in order to foster this vibrant ecosystem in the end. And also another point is human factors. So this is something that is very often vaguely described. So really make it very clear how the human operator is getting help from the implementation or from the technical implementation or from your pilot that you are going to set up. So not just writing, it's improving the conditions. So really describe how it is going to take place. For example, safety increase is very often a point, and also the decrease of cognitive load, right? To help the human operator to concentrate less. Also sustainability, talk about the economic factor and the yeah, usability. And also the new component that you are coming up with should be something that is really a nice addition to SHOP4CF marketplace. And also one last hint from my side, and I guess there's the first question arriving. One last question, have a very close look to the evaluation criteria and the guide. So this is really basically what the evaluators will use to evaluate your proposal. So really think of the role as being the evaluator here, and really making like a checklist with the evaluation criteria if you fulfill all these points. Okay, so there are first question arriving. Yeah.
Okay, there are 2 questions here that are about the consortium. The first question, well, let's answer them together, I think. So one question is it mandatory to have an industrial partner in the consortium? And is it mandatory that the consortium have partners of at least 2 different countries? Or could both partners be from the same country?
Let me answer for countries, it is not mandatory that partners are from different countries. So it is okay if the partners are from the same country. The first question, and another one with the manufacturing, yes, because we need a system integrator test the pilot on the manufacturing production line. So yes.
Thank you, Slađana, and thank you, Margarita, for that question. More questions?
Maybe also the reasoning behind the system integrator manufacturing couple is that we would like to have something of high technical relevance. So we want really to have a real manufacturer in the loop. We don't want to have like just a system integrator building something in the lab. We are really looking for something that is really adding value in a let's say in a realistic setup. So we need this manufacturing company in the consortium. It's really important for us, yeah, and the prerequisite for this call.
Thank you. There's a question here. Yes, it's from Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Should we expect any support to integrate SHOP4CF components?
Absolutely. So we have like lots of documents. I mean, the integration of the SHOP4CF components, what you're referring to is basically using the reference architecture. And this is quite an important aspect in SHOP4CF. We are building something where all the components have the same reference architecture. So in order to establish something that we refer usually in the calls with like Lego playing, right? So where you are picking the cubes in order to build something new. And in order to achieve that all components can flawlessly be deployed in parallel on the same server, for example, and can also communicate with each other, they need to be integrated with the reference architecture that is built by our partners from TUE. And in terms of getting help and support for that, we have, for example, many documents in this regard, showing how the architecture works. And there's also people from the consortium helping you in calls and direct communication in the developing of that. Hope that answers.
Thank you, Noah. And there's another question here from Jesus as well. He's asking, could you elaborate on the role of the marketplace? Are the new components expected to be openly available on the marketplace?
Yes, that's a point of SHOP4CF, that we are we create this vibrant ecosystem in order to also have people enriching the SHOP4CF marketplace with their own components. So if you are coming up with a component, it need to not just work in the pilot, it need to be developed in a generic way, integrating the SHOP4CF reference architecture with the overall idea of publishing this on the SHOP4CF marketplace. If you are, let's say, wondering what happens if you want to commercially exploit this component, there's also the possibility of having a, let's say, non-free license. So you can also commercially exploit that in the case you want to do that.
That's an important point. Thank you, Noah. Okay, thank you for those questions, Jesus. He says thanks. For more questions.
Okay, so maybe there's no more questions, but I think everything you answered was really good. Thank you all of you. So I guess we can just wrap it up here. Just to let you know that all the information is in the website shop4cf.eu. Any questions, as Slađana has put, you can contact at info@opencalls.shop4cf.eu. And a little extra information. Myself and Emily, we're going to be attending the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, which is next week. So if for any reason any of you happen to be there, we're going to be there talking about SHOP4CF, about the open call and everything. We'll be more than happy to meet you if you're going to be attending. So I'm going to leave our emails in the chat, and you can write us also for any other doubts that you might have, and we'll be available for you.
Yes, and please just note, Slajana, I think there's an I missing from the email address that
Yes.
you typed in. It should be info, is that right? Info at, I'm not seeing it for some reason. I'm
Yes,
just,
yes, I copied. Yeah, info.
okay,
Yes, thanks, Emily.
type it again. Yes,
Yeah,
there we go.
Oh,
thank
there you
you.
go.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you've got the emails there, and we'll be posting this recorded video on YouTube and in the SHOP4CF website in case anybody needs to come back and check on any of the answers that Emily Slajana of NOAA has given you. And thank you so much, everybody, for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.